Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Hello, onesies, and welcome back to the audience of one show right here on Conroe's 106.1 and 104.5, as well as irlonestar.com and available wherever you get your podcasts from. I am Andrew, riding alongside the guy who loves his change jar, Mr. iPhone 1 himself.
Nothing wrong with change jars.
Mr. iPhone 1 himself, Dick Ivy. Yeah, you told me last week you love your change jar.
You know what's really crazy? Last week, I went to the gas station several times for different things because we were, get ice, get, little things like that because we were hanging out. And every single time I went, the change that was required was in my pocket, but also in like the give a penny, take a penny kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was a little weird. After like the third time, I was like, this is getting a little weird about how I have like exact change every time I come.
Every time.
But I need like 2 cents or 10 cents or whatever's in the deal. And
I tried looking up the history of that give a penny, take a penny after we talked about it last week, and I could not find the exact history of where it started.
So now I've started every time I go into the gas station, I literally, like, whatever change I have, I'm gonna put some change in it.
Just guys.
Well, because when you get that, when you get the tally up, it's like, oh, it's just 5 cents. It's like 9.05. And I was like, man, if I give them a 10, I'm going to have 95 cents.
Exactly. That's why I hate that.
But yeah, every time it's worked out.
Oh, and by the way, they discontinued the penny in Canada. I did find that out.
In Canada?
In Canada. I figured that out. In 2013, no longer. So the give a penny, take a penny is probably not actually there in Canada anymore.
So how do you think they handle that when it is changed? So if they have 91 cents as your change, they just give you 90 cents?
I think they've probably worked it out to where pricing always comes out to the nearest 5 cents or something. It would have to, right?
Yeah, so I wonder how that would work, especially as a business paying taxes. It's like...
I don't know.
Interesting. I wonder how that's going to work out for us.
They still make the penny here in the United States, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
I think so. They even make $half.
Yeah, they're not made out of the same exact materials as they used to,
yeah.
Right? Because a penny is actually going to be worth more than 1 cent if they continue to make it out of the same materials, I would assume.
No one really knows.
That's penny talk.
Well, did you have a good weekend?
I have some amazing news to share with the onesies.
Okay.
Are you ready to hear my amazing story?
Yes.
I tried a shower orange.
I feel like you had to have a certain temperature. It has to be a hot shower to be a shower orange.
Well, look, I don't know all the rules that are involved with the shower orange, so I'm going to go out there, full disclosure. Maybe I didn't get the full experience because I don't know all the rules, but I thought after last week I'm going to have to try this out. One, I didn't know if I was supposed to cut the orange while I was in the shower.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was part of the rules, so I thought about that, but I really didn't want to take a knife into the shower. That just sort of felt a little...
You don't use your fingers?
Psycho-esque. No, I mean, I guess I could try and just use my fingernails if I wanted to.
You use a knife when you eat an orange?
It depends on where I'm at. I mean, if I'm at the house and I've got a knife available, I'm going to...
Well, if you're in the shower, you just use your hand.
Well, right, exactly. But I decided to cut it up prior to going into the shower. Okay.
Then it probably didn't do what it's supposed to do.
Well, I don't know. Again, don't know the rules. And then secondly, I didn't know if I'm actually supposed to face the water and let the water run over the top of the, the orange slice. I didn't know. I just didn't know. So I turned around backwards and let the water hit me from behind and, let the steam go. I made it an extra hot shower. And I'm here to report that it was an awful lot like eating an orange in the shower. It just didn't seem like it was much going on. Maybe slightly enhanced. I don't know. I can't imagine that the experience was so much different than eating an orange normally that someone would start to go out on the soch and be like, "Oh my gosh, you have to try this," because it was mildly maybe more enhanced, and I was looking for it. But really, onesies, it's just basically eating an orange in the shower.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint, but it's a thing now. I mean, it's actually in the dictionary.com as a thing, so people are doing it, but I don't know. I thought I needed to experience it.
Well, it's funny. When I was dating somebody, she gave me trash for brushing my teeth in the shower.
I mean, it's kind of weird, but it's efficient, right? I mean, you're getting two things done at once, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done that.
And I was like, yeah, just to me, it's a little easier. That way, when I get out of the shower, I don't have to like go to another station. I literally just comb my hair and get out.
Yeah. Interesting. I will,
because whenever you wash your hair, it always says leave in for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, what are you going to do with that 30 seconds? Might as well brush your teeth.
So that's what I do.
Eat an orange. Yeah.
And apparently, the orange thing, I don't really see. I don't really. The only thing I can think of is like in a sauna, it might be okay.
Yeah, I think it needs to be pretty warm to get all the stuff going. And, I mean, I made it an extra warm shower, but I didn't get much of an effect.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That's weird.
But I do think this is the first time I've ever eaten anything while nude. I don't think I've ever eaten anything.
You never had a shower beer, though?
I think I've done that, yes.
Shower beer is a pretty special.
It is pretty. Yeah, I believe I've done that before. But I mean consuming like food. I don't think I've ever done that before. Maybe as a baby.
Well,
right?
that's just so weird about the orange thing because I think the whole idea was the steam is supposed to interact with the peel itself, so it lets off an aroma of orange, and then you have a nice tasty treat. But it's like you're not in there long enough to really appreciate. That's why I say a sauna might work because you're in a sauna for at least 15 minutes.
Yeah, and like
right?
I said, it may have enhanced it slightly, but I was expecting to get.
Well, you look great.
Thank you.
You
Thank you
look
for noticing.
great.
It's still that's the peptides I'm still doing, but man, I was expecting to get hit right in the face with this just
no.
orange wonderfulness, and got to admit
Apparently
wasn't much to it.
There's a subreddit to the oranges.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Well,
Shower orange.
I've done the shower orange, and now it's on to jugging. So can't wait to report back on jugging. And
What was jugging again?
It did sound like something you and I should try. No, it was just some sort of theft at a bank, right? When somebody gets robbed at a bank, which to me I think is just like mugging, but whatever. They gave it a special name.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, because Jug was a nickname for bank.
There you
in
go.
Like Britain or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Remembering.
Yep. It was so long ago.
Yeah. I know my weekend was eventful. We just watched sports. It's nice to watch Coach Prime get put in his place. That's always entertaining. And,
Knew it was coming. Come on.
Well, yeah, but it's funny how that's the highlight of that day, and no one cared about any of like the real good games.
Yeah, and he's going to get thumped against USC probably this week too. I mean, not only are those teams just better, he's now got a couple of injuries to his star players. So I mean, it's going to happen.
And then what was the most recent one? Was it Taylor Swift and what's his name on the Kansas? That's all I've been seeing.
Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift together. They're Trailer, by the way. That's their nickname. Yeah, that's annoying already. Those two are annoying already. And I don't even know if they're really a couple.
No, it wasn't even that. It was, maybe the onesies know, maybe the football onesies know. Like I saw, all of a sudden I started seeing there's a documentary on Amazon Prime with the other brother. And then I guess they host a podcast together, so I'm seeing a lot of that. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like,
they're all over.
Why are these guys popular again? Like I saw them on the
NFL players.
Yeah, but I mean like a documentary. Like what did he like?
Look,
as soon
as you start dating superstar pop star singers,
but it was the brother, not her.
You'll be able to.
Well, it's like, is this all manufactured for this? It's like a Kardashian thing.
I mean,
it was getting weird for me because the way I was seeing the timeline of all this promotion of these two brothers, and then I saw them on the Chunky's Campbell Soup commercial, and I was like, well, that's typical. They have always football players, but it's just
it's not like Taylor Swift needs any more notoriety or money.
Yeah.
So this is obviously she's not going to benefit as much from it as say the Kelceys will, but. Whatever. I don't even know if they're technically together, but they showed her up in the stands, overly cheering, by the way, for every little thing that he did, jumping up and down as if they just won the Super Bowl, which I thought was
when
pretty
you like
funny.
somebody, you're excited.
Whatever, man. Whatever. Hey,
you just don't have that excitement anymore in your life.
No, yeah, right. That's it.
You don't wake up and start cheering?
Woohoo! For any random thing that the spouse does. Yeah. Way to get that coffee, babe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I live a normal life.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad that we don't have those moments.
No, I did have another moment, by the way, not maybe as interesting as the shower orange, but we talked about girl math last week.
Yeah.
And if you don't remember what girl math is, or if you didn't hear last week's episode, it's basically a term given to sort of justifying expenditures, maybe extravagant expenditures, maybe even not, but just a rationalization behind purchasing. You'll have to go back and listen to last week's show.
It's stupid.
It is pretty stupid, but I had my own girl math moment. And I realized that I guess I rationalized something this exact same way. So About a year and a half ago, I looked up in my closet, and I saw a shoebox. It was a Nike shoebox, and I thought, What's that? Got up there and reached down and opened the box. It was a pair of sneakers, brand new. In fact, the receipt was sitting right on top. And I went, oh, yeah, I forgot I bought these shoes. And I looked at the receipt, and it was dated late February, like February 26th, 2020. What do you think happened right after that? COVID. The world shut down. Well, I bought this pair of shoes because I had intended on going and playing in a basketball league. My neighbor invited me to go play in a league. I said, man, I got to get a pair of shoes to do this. I didn't have any basketball shoes, and I wanted a pair that I would use just for basketball. Well, of course, COVID happened. That got shut down. I was like, well, once this little COVID thing passes, I'll wear these shoes again. Well, it never passed. It just keeps going on and on. I forgot I had the pair of shoes, so when I pulled them down a year and a half later, I did think to myself, it's like a free pair of shoes because I paid for them a year and a half ago. And so I was like, wow, new shoes. So I just started wearing them, and that's my girl math moment, I suppose.
Jesus. I like how you forgot you bought a pair of shoes.
I did, actually, man. Well, I bought them specific.
I have like 3 pairs of shoes, and I have sandals.
You know, you're dressed up today, though. Thank you for looking professional. Here I am in a T-shirt and a cap.
Well, it's Monday. You got to start the day off right.
You're right. You're right. Hey, Dick, I know you're actively on the dating scene these days.
Totally.
Totally.
Just putting a leg out there on the road.
Oh, yeah. If someone were to ask you, or if maybe you were to describe yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think your looks are? What do you think you'd say?
10. Look at a mustache.
Oh, that's true. That stash does.
You know what? I will say I'm having a lot of fun with it because one thing I haven't done pretty much ever is continuously shave. Mm-hmm. Like usually my go-to is like I shave once a week, and it's just because I'm lazy as heck. But now that I have a mustache, it's like, oh, I have to actually like shave every day, if not every other day.
Yeah, to define that bad boy.
To keep it.
To make sure you're a 10.
Yeah.
All right, without the stash, what do you think you are?
Oh, I'm a 10.
So the stash doesn't do anything then?
Well, it's the cherry on top.
Wow, you go from being that's a 10 to that's a 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a 10. 100%.
Well, most people apparently when
I don't have an STD. 10. I mean, let's think about this. Check, right? What else is there that gives me a 10? I do have a haircut, so that's a 10.
I mean, technically everybody has a haircut.
I have all.
Right?
I have all 10 fingers, so that's a 10 right there. You get it?
Oh my gosh! Wow. Bad joke.
And yeah,
well,
I guess that's about it. Yeah, I think that's only.
Apparently, this is from CBS News. Most people, when asked what they feel their looks are on a scale of 1 to 10, most people say a 7. And that's interesting. So apparently, this is a phenomenon known as illusory superiority. Now, if you think about it, 1 to 10, the average of every person living has got to be around a 5, wouldn't you think? Isn't that kind of the way that works? Average, wouldn't average be considered a 5?
Yeah.
Right? So if everyone is saying, or the majority of people are saying 7, we all seem to have a little bit of a inflated view of ourselves is basically what this is saying.
Oh, giving myself a 10 is inflated?
I mean, you said it.
I mean, I'm a 10.
I mean, some people are.
In and out, too.
Some people are. In and out. I don't even know what you're talking about anymore.
My heart. It's a 10.
Oh, inside and out.
Yeah,
inside, okay. Well, it says this happens for a couple of different reasons. People are often too polite to say what they really think, or incompetent to lack the skills to assess their abilities accurately.
What I love about that kind of like the rating system we give each other, like men's perspective is totally different from women's perspective. And then it's certainly on the society standards because like basically if you worked out, you're pretty much a 7 or more. Like
you've probably at least separated yourself from the crowd maybe a little bit. Sure, if you're taking care of yourself.
Because I got some ugly friends, and they work out, and they get
they're listeners, so careful.
Yeah, well, come on, guys, get pretty. But no, I feel like for guys, for example, and women too, it's like, oh, if you just work out, you're kind of like setting the base is already at 7. Like you can't go further down if you're healthy looking. And I think it's because I was thinking about this the other day. I'm glad we're talking about this. I saw an ad watching the football games about The Bachelor. Mm-hmm. and it's like the Golden Bachelor. I don't know if you've seen this.
Yes, I have, and I cannot wait for this show because I want to see what the advertisements are, and it's going to be just Viagra.
Oh yeah.
And
But
Cialis.
it got me thinking. It's just, how old is this guy? Like, I was kind of curious where
I believe he's early 70s.
Yeah, where the producers kind of said, "What's a Golden Bachelor?" And so if he's 70, and the ironic thing about men in today's world is the older you get, you can still hang out with younger women.
I've been told that,
and
yes.
it's not the reverse. Like, it's very rare for older women to hang out with younger men. Like, it's just not. But so I was thinking, like, are all these women his age?
No,
how are they playing this?
So I did hear about this, and I think most of the women are in their 60s. So they're I think the youngest one is 58, and maybe the oldest one is 68. So they're basically a little bit 10 years and less younger than him. So they're staying within the demo, which makes sense. Although, wouldn't it have been funny?
Oh, if they threw in like 30-year-olds or something like that, or 20-year-olds?
Yeah, they threw in like 2 girls, like 24 and 25.
Oh, that would have been great.
So, can you imagine those older women? The cattiness would have been great. Or they don't do it on like week 1 though, right? They get established, they go through a couple of rounds, and then all of a sudden, surprise, in week 5, they just drop in this bombshell 25-year-old.
Well, I will say I'm curious to see the show.
Oh my
mainly for the mental state of the women and the guy, because I used to watch The Bachelor with a significant other, and the only entertaining part about it was just the chaos of these people's thought processes. Yeah. It's like, oh, I love this guy.
I just don't understand. Yeah, I just don't understand the entire concept of it, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, to me, it's kind of a joke.
It has to be, but what's not a joke? What's not a joke is the ratings, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it's. I don't think it's so like everyone's kind of like open to it, but then when they start getting like, oh, I'm actually in the show, and they're like, there's only 10 girls left or 10 guys left, it's like, oh, so it's a competition. It's a competition.
Yeah,
it's a competition.
I think the girls or guys, depending on what show it is, they just want to win.
Because my favorite ones we watch, and I encourage you to watch this if you ever just want, like, you have nothing to watch on television. They do a thing called like Bachelors in Paradise, which basically it's all the losers from the other seasons, and they just put them all on this resort. So it's not just one guy going for 30 girls or vice versa. It's just like everyone who lost, and that was a fan favorite. Like so it's like there's just chaos. It's everyone's dating somebody, and it's just insane. But I always loved watching people like how they behave because they know they're being watched, and some of the stuff.
No doubt.
But so this is interesting because they're older now, and so it's like some of these women I imagine are just like. It's not good television because they're normal now. They're like,
I don't think they're going to be normal.
I
think this is going to be ramped up to the nth degree.
That's what I'm saying. This is going to be interesting.
I mean, I'm probably not going to watch it, but I'll watch the outtakes of it.
Yeah,
and maybe we'll bring it up and talk about it at some point here in the near future.
But yeah, it's the age thing that was really interesting to me watching that. It's like I wonder how they like. That one producer's like, yeah, we can bring a 40-year-old, right?
Not golden,
right? Yeah, it's like everyone has to be golden.
I think that's the point. Maybe they're doing yoga to stay young. Have you ever done yoga, by the way?
Yeah.
Have you? I've heard it's phenomenal for you in terms of health and everything else. Did you like it? Did you do it one time, or was it something that you did?
I've done it a couple times
routinely?
I think what happened to me, I was like, I'd rather just be working out.
Yeah, it is. It can be a workout. Some of them are
no, it is.
intense.
I'm not saying it's not. I meant more because the time to do yoga is pretty much like to get a real yoga session in. It has to be at least 30 minutes. Like at least. And so, because I've done it where I'm sore as heck afterwards.
Yeah, you can be.
But then I'm like, well, if I only have an hour today, do I want to do yoga or do I just want to work out? And I'm like, I'd rather just work out.
Okay. Well, I found this story on CNN about yoga that I thought was amazing. So apparently a yoga teacher turned out the lights toward the end of one of her classes in Britain last week. And the hope was to encourage peaceful relaxation. This is during a class. She turns out the lights, so you can imagine they're in their downward dog position or doing whatever yoga pose, right? The lights are now turned off. What followed could not have been further from her intention. Get this, man. It says, soon after the class was over, a mass of police sirens shattered the peace as officers raced toward her venue where her class was being held. Apparently, there was a call from someone inside the town that had passed by and saw all of the members there laying on the ground in the dark, and they thought it was a mass suicide. So they called the cops.
That's the first logical thought, mass suicide.
I guess, but the thing is, though, if you glanced over, that might be your first thought, I'm guessing.
I'll knock on the window.
Right, something. You don't just immediately go, oh my gosh, and call the cops and run off. Because I imagine they were probably only in that position for 30 seconds or something, a minute at the most, and then they got up and started moving. But apparently somebody passed by and thought this was a mass murder. This is the world we live in today, man. I have not done yoga. I'd like to do yoga, though.
Yeah, it's good. If you're down.
Well, you want to do it right now?
No, I do not.
After the class?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it in mind.
No.
Did you hear a few weeks ago about this guy in Florida that tried to sail across the Atlantic Ocean?
I did. I remember.
I meant to bring it to air last week, and I forgot about it, to be honest with you. So I wanted to cover it, and I think maybe you should show this picture.
Yeah, I got a picture of it.
I doubt we're breaking any news here on this, right? Because this was a pretty big story. But I did want to get your thoughts on this. But apparently there was this guy. His name is, he's an Iranian, from Iranian descent. His name is Reza something or another. I don't even see. Oh, Reza Baluchi. So apparently this guy tried to cross the Atlantic in a, quote, human-powered hamster wheel. And he was arrested by Coast Guard. 70 miles. He made it 70.
Arrested?
Yeah. He was arrested 70 miles off the coast. When they, let's say, they found him during a manifestly unsafe voyage. I guess it's because Hurricane Franklin was heading towards that area, and I guess all the ships were supposed to be off or out from the sea. Can you imagine if he'd stayed out there during that storm? That would have been a real story. But this is crazy. Did you show the picture of it?
Yeah.
It's a pretty impressive vessel, I suppose, but wouldn't you want to just see if you could maybe attempt to do a more successful, shorter trip? But he was attempting to go all the way to London, I think, from Florida.
I mean,
come on, dude.
Well, what's interesting to me about that is the journey. How long would it? Did it talk about how long he actually thought it would take? So say he no one stopped.
I'm sure
him.
he had some fig Newtons and stuff in there with him.
Well, he had some.
No
I'm
problem.
wondering how.
Yeah. But it says he had a bizarre 3-day standoff with the authorities. I guess he didn't want to be taken in. He had knives and things on him, which, by the way, probably not the smartest utensil to have out there on
in a hamster wheel.
In a hamster wheel, it's probably staying afloat from air. You don't want to have a knife out there, or a gun for that matter. But yeah, this guy sounds really wheels off. And this is not his first attempt. I think I read that he had also tried something similar to this earlier a few years ago. Crazy, though. It says he also threatened to blow himself up, at which point Coast Guard officers on the site contacted the Navy to determine the location of this, quote, alleged bomb. But Baluchi later revealed that the bomb was not real. I got a bomb. I'm just going to blow yourself up.
Well, clearly he has some issues where if some of the Coast Guard goes, hey, you need to stop, I'd be like, okay, I was just trying something out. He's like, well, you need to tell us next time.
Yeah,
because I don't see, I could see someone doing this and being successful with it, miraculously, but
yeah,
clearly he had some issues with people talking to him.
A shorter trip, I think, would have been.
No, I think he needs to go for the gold.
I'm going to try and go transatlantic.
Yeah,
what
he needs to go for the gold.
Well, it says back in 2014, the Coast Guard found him when he was trying to transverse the Bermuda Triangle as well. So he's done this before.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew a guy named Reza when I was growing up. In fact, I think he listens to the show. So Reza, if you're out there, I have to admit, when I first saw this story, I thought, oh no, please tell me this isn't you. No offense, but
people
sounds like something you could have done.
I don't see any problem with this. I like it. I don't know why he'd be arrested, though.
Like I said, I think it had everything to do with the fact that hurricane was coming in, and there was probably some call for all vessels to be out of the water, and he's just paddling. Actually, I don't even know how you move that thing. I guess you just
I bet they
run.
left
He just runs.
I bet they took him out and they just left it there. They're like, we don't know how to tow this back in there. This is kind of weird.
I guess you could airlift it.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Or some poor soul was like, all right, Private Johnny, you need to get in the hamster wheel and wheel it back. What?
I wonder how much Mighty Putty is on that thing and flex tape to get that thing.
It looks legit. I'm going to pull it up one more time.
It does look pretty. It does look pretty legit. Are those... I guess
the buoys.
The buoys and stuff, yeah.
With
little paddles, I guess as he runs, it spins the buoys and the paddles to project him forward. Pretty impressive, though, man.
I like
Pretty impressive. Yeah, staying on this theme of aquatic, did you hear about this massive alligator that was found last week in Raven Lake in Huntsville, sort of in this area, Huntsville State Park? Apparently, this thing was attacking kids in the lake.
Oh, wow.
This thing looks like a dinosaur. It's just massive. I have to admit, I'm seeing more and more of these stories where alligators and things are popping up in lakes where they haven't been historically. Man, I ain't getting in that water no more. I think when I was a kid, I probably would have jumped in. I say a kid, a youngster in my 20s, I probably didn't care. I ain't getting in that water no more, man. That's freaky. Are you a lake guy? Would you jump in there even knowing there's a chance there's some freaking alligators? I said freaking alligators.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of going in the ocean and going in any like the river or lake. You're gonna run into snakes, especially here in Texas. Like little river, there's moccasins everywhere.
I used to float the river in college all the time, and there were signs that even said, lift up your feet here for snakes. And I was like, wow, that's kind of a weird sign. Drink, 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 float, float, float.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to care. I don't think I'm doing that anymore, man.
Alligators, though.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Here, I got the video of it.
Yeah, apparently it was a Girl Scout troop.
Yeah.
And the camera catches this thing just floating right toward. Oh my God, those little girls would be terrified. I'd be terrified too. The kids can be heard shouting in the video as they immediately leave the water. Some parents actually jump in to run and help them. One child jumps in the water as the reptile swims closer. It's terrifying footage, but that's just right here locally. Well, somewhat locally. No thanks, bruh. No thanks.
I mean, it's 12 feet long. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a big one, man. That's a big one. And it seems like they're getting larger, or maybe it's just me. It seems like there's always these records being broken. Oh, we found a 16-foot. Oh, we found a 20-foot. And the larger they get, it is amazing to me how sort of dinosaur-like they
wild
look.
Alligators, they live for 30 to 50 years, so I imagine they don't stop growing.
The whole time?
The whole time.
Wow. So the larger they are, the older they are.
Yeah,
huh?
and they probably don't have a lot of predators that eat them.
And like old people, they get off my lawn kind of thing. And so if you imagine you got a 30-year-old alligator, he's pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
Get out of my lawn, man.
Well, what's strange to me is you can have a captive alligator that can live up to 70 years.
Oh, wow, with no natural predators. And that's another thing is these lakes that never used to have them in Texas, a lot of times people release them because they had them as pets. And they're little tiny things. And they just run rampant in there and like, all right, this is my domain.
I like it.
Look, a Girl Scout troop. This is funny. We're gonna switch to children. This is the children's section of our show.
I don't have kids.
Before the break.
I don't have any kids.
From Fox News.
I'm a 10.
You're a 10 without children.
Yeah,
boy, that makes you an 11.
When you have kids, you go down. This is an automatic downer.
Someone told me once, the older you get, when you're single, the dating pool is shallow and someone peed in it.
I guess.
That's what I was told.
I mean, I think it's the Wild West out here, man.
Well, makes for good radio. So from Fox News, a former journalist in Australia, right, maybe it just says journalist, legally changed the name of her baby. Sorry, didn't even change it. Just legally named her baby Methamphetamine Rules. Now, again, we did have this episode back in March about names you can and cannot name your baby. And if she had been listening, she would have known that methamphetamine rules perfectly loud. And you can't name them. What was it? What were some of the ones that were illegal? Jesus, King, Queen, Anal.
Yeah, there's weird ones.
There were some weird ones in there.
Like, I don't understand why it would be illegal. Like, why can't... But
Well, she did this after a, quote, lighthearted, curious attempt to determine how the government goes about rejecting names deemed as inappropriate. And she went with something that she assumed would automatically get flagged, methamphetamine rules. Well, wouldn't you know, it went by and it went through. And so now her baby, beautiful baby, I believe it's a girl, is now named Methamphetamine Rules. Whoops. So I think she's going to have to go back and rename the child. But for now, that's the baby's name.
Well, I'm waiting for people, because you know how everyone's just kind of like changing how culture works. I feel like everything's kind of rapidly changing. I'm waiting for people to go, oh, we can't name our baby until they name themselves. Mm-hmm. And that becomes a phenomenon where it's just like hundreds and hundreds of people are not naming their babies until they're adults. Or, kids. Like
no, but wouldn't it be great if a 6-year-old, and that was about the age people start naming themselves. If you were 6 years old, I mean...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm kind of waiting for this trend to happen.
I would say your name probably wouldn't be Dick, but a 6-year-old probably would name themselves Dick, let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there'd be a lot of Spider-Mans running around, A lot of Batmans.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the case if that catches on. But no, it says the Australian ABC journalist Kristen Drysdale was pregnant and she was working on a news segment focusing on the question, what can I legally name my baby? Again, Kristen should have been listening to the AOO show. But according to the news, Drysdale said she was trying to figure out if the registrar's offers provides children with default names if the parent's submission is rejected. So she was doing some investigative reporting with her child, nonetheless, her newborn, or yet to be born at that point child. And it went right on through, so Methamphetamine Rules is her new child.
Good for her.
Love it. Love it.
Good for her.
And last story before the break here, a baby was born in India with, boy, that fill in the blank, right? I think we had somebody with a tail not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a Hindu god. Well, this is a baby girl born in India with 26 fingers and toes.
So she's more than a 10.
She is a 26, man. And her family thinks it's divine. It's divinity.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, it's kind of, again, I guess over there in India, that type stuff happens. They're like, oh, man, almost got 27 fingers, but I guess we'll just go with 26.
Yeah.
Poor little thing. But yes, 26 fingers. I wonder what the record is. So this little girl in the northern state of India, I'm not going to try and pronounce it, has 7 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. Yeah. I guess she can have some specially made gloves, or maybe we can get her to play in the NFL or something. Catch a ball. All right, guys, that's all we got for this first half of the show. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to talk about when we come back, but I'm sure it will be riveting.
We always encourage people to send in some stuff. audience1show@gmail.com.
Good.
So, or
Thank
Facebook
you for reminding
and all
me.
that kind of stuff.
We do have some listener feedback I'm going to cover.
We always love it when you guys send us in stupid stuff.
Yes,
so.
Listener feedback when we come back. Audience of One, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. right here on Conroe's 106.1 and 104.5. Listen to the brain droppings of local hosts, me, Andrew Belshner, along with the jewel of Montgomery County radio, Dick Schisler. Topical musings, news stories, oddities, or just weird conversations that we normally have with ourselves, all mixed together with the occasional guest. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.
All right, you're listening to the AOO Show. Audience of One every Wednesday on Lone Star Community Radio. Always send us your ideas at audienceofoneshow@gmail.com. We're on podcasts. We're on YouTube, Facebook. Just look up Lone Star Community Radio, Audience of One.
Or Spotify, Apple.
Yeah, all of them.
All that
all
stuff.
of them.
Yeah, man.
We're coming in your ears with the AOO Show. But yeah, we got our second half here, and we have some user or listener or onesie reports.
Yeah, onesie feedback. I love it when I get some feedback from the show. We had a listener contact me about the segment we did on cops and the live PD.
Yeah, how amazed I was with that. The whole channel itself. Whenever I was telling you, I was like, there's a show called Jail.
Yeah, right.
Jail.
Well, this listener, Mike, said, oh, you think that's interesting? You guys need to check out Court TV.
Well, I mean, I know Court TV is a channel.
Yeah, this one apparently is a little different. It's basically like footage from the closed captioning or closed circuit cameras from courtrooms. And so it gets pretty wild. I did some research on it because I thought maybe we would be able to do a whole segment, and it's so wheels off. He was telling me a story about how this one judge and lawyer started arguing back and forth, and it got more and more contentious and heated, and finally the judge stands up. He's like, you want to go, bro? You want to take this outside? You know, just something it's like you would see out in a bar or something. They disappear around the corner, and you hear tussling and fighting. Apparently, they get into an all-out fist fight. This is the lawyer and the judge. A few minutes later, the judge comes in, no lawyer to be found. So apparently, he put the smackdown, the whooping, on this lawyer. And I thought, no, this is all fake. This is all done up for the show. And you look it up, apparently, no. I think this was in Minnesota. This judge got thrown in jail, lost his judgeship for, behavior unbecoming.
Yeah.
It's for real. But apparently, this is not the first time this has happened. Judges and lawyers going at it and duking it out in the court.
I love it.
It's not. It sounds like something you would absolutely love.
Oh. Well, I was just amazed at the channel itself because I forgot what it was, but like the shows they had on it, I was like, I can't believe. Like, I would love to do this for like a year, be on the production team.
Yeah, you see some wild stuff.
Like, I think that would be hilarious. And then there's another show. I want to say it was on like History Channel, but it's like the drug show at airports. And it's just about airports around the world. And they go through the different, like, how they do inspections and all this kind of stuff. And you can't tell if it's real or not.
Right. Because how much is done up for TV.
Some of it's ridiculous because some of the people are like, I don't know how that got there. And it's like, well, this is 14 pounds of cocaine, sir. Yeah, it's not my luggage. And it's just like.
That always works for me. I didn't put it up there. That's not my luggage. It always works for me.
Yeah. And then, like, what I love is the one where it's like it's Chinese goods. So apparently you can go to China and get like really cheap goods. So it's just people trying to smuggle in just different types of electronics, and they open up this suitcase and it's just filled with little white boxes, and like, well, I don't know what that is. And there's no socks, there's nothing. It's just like clearly you were trying to get something over here.
Yeah, I wonder if those are the same electronics that end up being sold to you in the trunk at a gas station.
Yeah.
Do you ever have that happen to you? Or somebody comes in and you're
I've had people approach me who are trying to sell speakers.
Yeah,
and
speakers.
stuff.
It's always speakers. Why is it always speakers?
Well, because it's easy.
They ripped them out of the car, down the street earlier that day, probably.
Well, I mean, it's really easy to replace the speaker systems in like nice speakers and make it look nice.
I've also been told that you buy TVs and stuff and they're in the box and you get them out and they're just fake TVs. There's nothing. There's no electronics actually.
Well, you're buying from some dude in a van.
Yeah, what do you expect? Yeah, there's
also this TV show. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. And especially like what I love is especially the police shows is they show you inadvertently the faults in the police investigation.
Whoops.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
so it's like especially like the drug one where it's like they had this special specometer thing that it can find traces of cocaine. But every time they used it, it never showed they never found cocaine. They were like. And they literally go, well, cocaine could have been in here. And I'm like, yeah, it's airplane.
Or he turns it on his buddy and he goes,
yeah.
Hey, don't point that thing at me.
And they were doing it on suitcases and stuff.
Pointing at himself.
And they were like, yeah, cocaine could have been.
It seems to be working.
Cocaine could have been here. And I'm like, yeah.
Well, you could say that about anything.
Yeah.
You walk into the room,
so
cocaine could be present right now.
It's like, oh my gosh.
This is true.
But it was really funny. This like really fancy piece of equipment and never worked at all. It's just like, well, cocaine was here. It was here at one point, and it's like, yeah, well, I mean, that suitcase was around a lot of people, and
hey, by the way, you gotta be a little more careful with that stash. Now that you have that stash, just gonna throw that.
What
out
I
there.
do now?
Just staying on the cocaine story. You just gotta be a little more careful.
Oh yeah.
Make sure
I don't have an
clean it
accent. I don't have an accent. So if I had an accent, everyone would be like, oh, they'll
Yeah.
chapo.
Yeah. The other TV show that Mike brought up was I think just called Parking Wars. And this is literally like footage from, again, closed circuit TV from like security footage of parking lots of people just getting into fights at parking lots. People getting their car towed and coming out and confronting the tow truck. And again, I tried to watch it.
There was a repo show.
Oh God, I know I have seen that.
I remember that.
I have seen that too. It's just kind of the dregs of society, if you will. I couldn't watch it. It's just a mess.
And I always wonder what agreements, and we talked about this on the last episode, like the agreements these municipalities have.
Yeah.
With these creators, because this isn't like an educational show at all.
Oh, it's kind of educational.
Well, I mean, like the whole idea is not an educational show. Like when I was watching the drug ones, it was just like they're just showing crazy ways. Like they just stuffed fish full of drugs, and they found all this fish, and the reason they found it because they all expired, so you could smell it. And like, who would be shipping rotten fish?
Yeah.
And then they scan it, and like, oh, they're filled with tubes of cocaine. And
well, maybe they needed to put on the outside of the truck rotten fish instead of just fish.
I don't know. And then
why do they do that? Why do they have to announce that they're hauling fish in those trucks? You ever seen that little box truck with a cooler on the back and it just says fish? I've never understood them. Like,
I don't know.
Okay, you've never seen that?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that one up too. Or onesies let us know.
I don't get out of the house.
No,
I'm
you
all
don't.
online now.
Well, do yourself a favor and check out Parking Wars and Court TV. Hey man, were you ever a Marilyn Manson fan back in the day?
No, I was not.
That guy kind of weirded me out, but I always thought, when he was popular in the 90s, I was already kind of a young adult when he got popular, and I think I was old enough to know it was a bit. Like, there's no way this guy is this evil or whatever. He probably goes home at the end of the day after a show and pets his cat. Right? I mean, he's probably got to be a normal guy. And I loved how the rumors that he was the kid from the Wonder Years. Paul, you remember that?
No.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, did you ever watch the Wonder Years, first of all?
Yeah, with Fred Savage.
Yeah, Fred Savage and his little friend Paul.
Oh wow, yeah.
Because they bear a striking resemblance to each other, and there was always the rumor that Paul and Marilyn Manson was the same person when he grew up.
So what's going on with Marilyn Manson? I don't even know like his songs. I really don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, we could play them, but we run the risk of it getting scrubbed. So we'll just, even though we technically can, since we're a radio station, not all platforms appreciate that. So a Dope Show was a pretty good song from his. We're all stars in the Dope Show. I thought that one was good, but there was a couple of really popular ones. Well, I did not know this, but apparently he is back in the news and was sentenced to 20 hours of community service and a fine on Monday after pleading no contest to blowing his nose on a videographer at a 2019 concert in New Hampshire. What the heck, man? He's 54 years old now, and apparently this guy during a show just decided to shoot a grandpa snot rocket at somebody. I'm not sure. Like, how do you blow your nose on somebody? It doesn't even make sense. But it is Marilyn Manson, though. Yeah,
I like it.
He was charged and fully negotiated a plea agreement deal with prosecutors. If you're doing community service, though, just because you've done whatever, what's the last time you did community service for, right? And in walks Marilyn Manson as your partner in crime for the day. Boy, that's got to be a good story for the radio.
Well, there's
right?
another show that got really, the Jury Duty show. Have you seen that?
Well, I would follow him around with a camera.
Well, no, I think that was kind of the premise.
Wait, Jury Duty.
Yeah, like
this is
it
community service.
Had the guy who played Cyclops in it.
The guy who played Cyclops?
Yeah, from the original like the 2000 X-Men movies.
Oh God, yeah. You lost me on that one.
Well, it was all it's a show called Jury Duty, and it's James Marsden. And he plays himself, and it's about this jury duty guy who got called for. It's all basically everyone got called for jury duty.
Okay.
And it's this fake case. The whole thing is fake, but this one person doesn't know it's fake. So, but every other jury member knows it's fake, and this actor's in it as himself, as James Marsden. And I think it's on TV, but apparently it got rave reviews.
Interesting concept.
But yeah.
Was it a series or a show?
Yeah, it was just one
like
season.
a short series.
They had to tell him at the end, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, you would think, right? Yeah, I know that Marilyn Manson faced all kinds of charges and things earlier. Yeah, Marilyn Manson coming in as you're having to mow a lawn at some I don't know hospital for community service, and here comes Marilyn Manson for blowing a snot rocket on somebody.
You're a real downer, Marilyn.
Yeah, right. What's with all the makeup?
Yeah.
Do you think he shows up in the makeup too, or does he just show up like normal?
I have no idea about that kind of stuff.
So goth. Yeah, I know that he had like sexual assault charges pressed against him 10 years ago or something. He hasn't completely avoided the law.
That's been happening a lot lately.
What, snot rockets on people?
No, it's like these 10-year-old reports about these rock stars or these famous people, and it's just like all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that happened. We didn't care back then though, but we care now.
Well, you know how it is, and I don't know who you're referring to specifically.
No, I think there was like a documentary about Marilyn Manson.
Oh, well,
about these women, and
it's a weird phenomenon that we do. I don't want to say just here in the United States. It's probably globally, where you have, let's say it's sexual assault charges or whatever, or allegations, not charges. People don't really tend to care until you get about 10. One or two, it's like, whatever. But there has to be like over and over and over. It's kind of like with the Danny Masterson thing. No one really cared until there was like 3 or 4 of them. We go, no, maybe we should look into this.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, that's the.
Well, it's also the Harvey Weinstein thing. Like that was. That was.
And like everybody knew. That's what was so weird.
Well, it's also one of those weird scenarios where you think you know everything, but you never seen it.
Right, you just hear
because
I
imagine there's a lot of unfortunate actresses actually experienced it, and then like people are like, no way, like it's probably not as bad as you say it is, and then it was probably worse.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. That's crazy to me, but I guess that's the thing now where people are making documentaries about it.
Yeah, I'd follow that guy around with a camera, especially during his 20 hours. You could probably
I always wondered how like that gets presented officially into like police record, where because how that's happened a lot where they release some type of footage a year later, or they make some documentary and like people are outraged, like this happened, no one did anything about it, and then all of a sudden somehow the police go, oh, we can still do something about it.
Yeah. Hold on, let me pull that file out
real
quick here.
I'll make up for it. Right.
And
I wonder,
lick their fingers, look through the file a little bit. Oh man, I was always. Did you ever have a teacher in elementary school that did that? They'd be handing out papers, for like a test or whatever, and they'd lick their finger to get
right.
And I always seemed to get the first one. Would have the big wet sticky fingerprint in the right hand corner. Like, Miss Johnson, what are you doing? It's so gross. You never experienced the gross wet finger stickiness.
I never paid attention in school. I was always somewhere else every
gross.
time I sat down.
No way.
I was like, what?
Oh, gee, look at the ceiling tiles.
What is life?
So it's very Rain Man of you.
Oh,
Yeah, well, speaking of rage and people being outraged, I was not aware of this, but apparently the retailer H&M, are you familiar with H&M? They've been charging customers in the UK, and they're now expanding this to America. They've been charging their customers to return items that were purchased online. So if you buy something, hey, no problem. You're going to return it? We're going to charge you for it.
Huh.
Yeah. Huh.
I can see that.
So I don't necessarily have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is the reason why they've claimed they're doing it. It's to reduce H&M's environmental footprint, as carbon emissions from returned packages have grown considerably over the past 4 years. Yeah, right. This is for them trying to make more money. And again, I don't really have a problem. If they want to charge people, they can charge people a restocking fee or whatever. I'm sure there is a cost associated with doing something with all these return goods. But don't tell me it's for the environment. That's just so that they can grandstand you and be like, oh, what are you against baby seals?
It's
pay $5.99, man.
It's free in store, and if you're a member, it's free. But yeah,
this is where it starts, though.
But no, I'm looking at it right now. I'm on their website. Yeah, it's $5.99.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know that. I don't shop there, but
I would charge people.
Yeah, Dick's retailer.
Well, I mean, if you're working,
I would say you'd have a store called Dick's.
If you're working at that kind of scale, yeah,
got already taken.
If you're working at that kind of scale,
I would think you just kind of work it into every product. Just add like 17 cents to everything, and that covers returns. And that way you don't have to have some BS message about being environmental and reducing your carbon footprint. Oh. Come on, man.
Well, didn't we have that conversation about Amazon? Like, imagine that one guy's job is like, how much money did we lose this year because we sent this guy 2 mattresses?
Yeah, they make up for it somewhere else. But yeah, you're right.
I mean, do they?
They have to. I mean, Bezos is the richest man in the world. I think they're making up for it somewhere, right?
I don't know. I think he swapped something and became rich for something else.
Oh, you think this Amazon's just a front?
Yeah.
It's actually a losing proposition?
No, I bet they did some government contract, and they're like, hey, we won't come after you if you just let us use your servers.
Or he's shipping drugs and rotten fish, and that's how he really makes his money, and Amazon's just the front for
I don't know.
The fish trade
I can see it.
industry.
I can see it. I mean, they can't sell that many books, dude.
Right, yes, it's just books.
And be that rich.
Right.
Something's going on.
No one reads anyways, man. I'm going to skip
I see no problem with this return policy.
Okay, well, I'm glad. Like I said, I don't necessarily care. The policy, it's not the problem. It's the reasoning behind it.
I want to say I ran into something similar, and it was really strange because there's an Amazon product, and they're like, hey, if you return it via, like, Home Goods or something like that, like, I remember I had to take it to a store. Mm-hmm. But I didn't buy it from the store. I didn't buy it from...
they have a little partnership with, I believe that Kohl's does that.
Yeah, or something. I was just kind of like, what do I have to do?
Yeah, you have to take it back over to the back corner of Kohl's to return something you ordered on Amazon. Yeah.
And I thought it was really strange, but it saved me money.
Well, I guess. And they didn't charge you $5.99 for it, did they?
Yeah, way to go.
So I have a story about an otter attack. We'll skip that unless we have some time at the end here. But do you remember we talked several months ago about Robert De Niro at 80 years old becoming a father again?
Yeah.
How beautiful. Beautiful story with his, 29-year-old girlfriend.
I'm all for it. The golden bachelor.
Right, exactly. Well, here is, if that's not weird enough that a 29-year-old is dating an 80-year-old, here's another reason to avoid this situation. Apparently, she got diagnosed with a muscle condition called Bell's palsy after giving birth to their child.
That's sad.
Yeah, Bell's palsy is like a muscle condition where it affects like part of the muscles in your face, and you won't have. It almost looks like you had a stroke.
Sometimes it's temporary.
Sometimes it's temporary, and sometimes it's not. But I thought that was crazy. Yeah, that she made news because she said I started to feel like my tongue was strange. It was a little tingly.
Probably from the COVID shot.
No, that's it.
And then also Robert De Niro's old sperm.
Thank you. You took my punchline. I was saying the moral of the story here is don't sleep with 80-year-old Robert De Niro. But would you do it if the only side effect though was Bell's palsy?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Oh, with Robert De Niro?
If you're a girl. I mean, we already know you're if you were a female, would you be a 10, by the way?
Yeah, of course.
Would you still have the stash?
Oh, it depends on where I lived.
Okay.
It's all about being valued by your community.
Hypothetically, you're a 10 female and you're dating Robert De Niro. Would you still have his baby if you knew that you were going to get Bell's palsy afterwards?
Well, I mean, I feel like Bell's palsy has like a wide spectrum of actual conditions. Because you can temporarily have it, or it could be like
there you go. You're rolling the dice, man.
So, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't really care about Robert De Niro that much. So.
I don't either.
I don't know.
I saw this and went, this guy's still in the news. But he's not in the news for like making movies anymore. He's in the news for making babies.
Well, I mean, being in your 80s, impregnating 20-somethings, that's kind of baller. That's a baller move.
Yeah.
I got to give him.
Hey, and he's doing it without a mustache.
But it's also Robert De Niro. I think he just kind of like smiles, and it's like, oh, I have to like this guy because he's famous. That's what I'm saying. Like the famous people got it made.
They got it going on.
But then they get documentaries about how they assaulted people, and then now they're going to jail for.
You are a radio star. Got to start somewhere.
I don't know. I think it's a double-edged sword to live that kind of life.
Oh yeah, no doubt. You're under a microscope, without a doubt.
Well, yeah. I mean, who cares though? But it is kind of funny the perception of somebody This actually happened to me recently. One of my friends posted, because I've known him and I've known his girlfriend, and he was like, "Happy 30th," and I was like, "She's 30 years old."
That seems so young to me these days.
Well, I was thinking because I've known her for a while, like 5 years, and I was like, "Whoa!" So when I met her, she was 25. That's crazy. You've been dating a 25-year-old? And I almost wanted to say something to him. I was like, I never knew that. But then again, I don't really ask the detailed questions for my friends. I'm like, I don't really care.
Did he give her Bell's palsy because of the age
difference?
difference?
I don't know.
Or what?
I'll ask that next time.
Yeah. Make sure you let her know. There's a possibility.
Yeah.
Stay within your demographic, everyone.
Well, that's what they do now.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, like you get your blood tests and all that stuff and your partner, and it's like, because I know that happened to my cousin where the doctor was literally going, hey, if you have a baby, there's like a 76% chance they're going to contract this terrible disease.
Oh,
and it's just like, can you imagine being told that? It's like, don't have kids because they will live terrible lives. And you're kind of like, well, we kind of want a chance.
Yeah. But if the dad is Robert De Niro.
But yeah, it's tragic. But fortunately for them, they have a beautiful boy, and he has no problems. And I think they did some testing things to help. I think they spent a lot of money trying to prevent it. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about? You have it's just an unfortunate thing that your soulmate or whatever. It's a little
bit of like playing God, I think. There's just certain things you shouldn't.
I'm talking about the bad luck. Like you fall in love, you go on these dates, and you're like, oh, I love it. We're married and we're going to start a family, and you go to the doctor and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you have like an 80% chance this kid's gonna not have a left foot,
26 fingers and toes,
or something like that. Like, yeah, they have a very low chance of living if y'all have a kid.
That's the case. That's
no, it really was. So I forgot what it was, and it was
that's
just like
scary.
That's really crazy that someone had to tell you that. Because you imagine back in the day where they didn't have doctors, and you're like, why do my babies keep dying?
Well, they were doctors, but they were like witch doctors.
I'm down.
Hey, man, do you know what the Mandela Effect is? Or ever heard of the Mandela Effect?
Is it similar to the Barbra Streisand effect?
I don't know what that is, but I so want you to look that up now.
No, the Streisand effect. You never heard that?
No.
So
I don't even want to talk about the Mandela Effect anymore. What's the Barbra Streisand effect?
The Streisand effect is she basically sued or got mad at aerial photographers taking pictures of her like beautiful house, and somehow that became a thing where like now everyone knows what her house looks like.
Okay,
because she's the one that started suing these people taking pictures of her house. So it's considered a Streisand effect now, where like it wasn't a big deal until you made it a big deal, and inadvertently your big deal got blown up. Now everyone knows about it.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. I have not heard it called the Streisand effect, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like if you just kept your mouth closed, very few people would have heard of this picture, saw this picture, and know where you live. But since you made a big deal out of it, now it's a big deal. Well, no, this is the Mandela Effect, and basically this is like false memories of the collective population. That basically we all believe something to be true, but it's not. It says the Mandela effect occurs when a large group of people believe an event occurred when it did not.
Okay.
And it's kind of interesting. They give some examples of it, but I was curious as to know why it's called the Mandela effect to begin with. And it says it got its name when Fiona Broome. Okay, this is interesting. I don't know who Fiona Broome is other than she's a self-identified paranormal consultant. Detailed how she remembered former South African President Nelson Mandela dying in the 1980s in prison, although Mandela lived until 2013. She could describe remembering news coverage of his death and even a speech from his widow about his death, blah, 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 yet none of it happened. The weird thing is, though, she thought her thoughts occurred in isolation, but other people said, hey, I have the exact same thought as you. Like, I seem to have that memory. And for whatever reason, this took off as a term, Mandela effect. That just seems really strange to me because I don't even know who this person is. But anyways, that's a term given to collective false memories. And one of the ones that they give as an example is from the movie Star Wars, the most famous line probably from that entire series.
May the Force be with you.
Other than that one, I have the high ground.
Luke, I am your father.
Thank you. Luke, I am your father. That is probably the most popular line, except for the fact
He never said it.
he never said it. It's just, I am your father. And everybody just thinks, Luke, I am your father, was what was actually said, and that apparently is called the Mandela effect. Yeah, and there's also a few others, like Looney Tunes, spelled Tunes rather than OOS for tunes. Most people think it's
NS. Tunes. TOONS.
Right. But a majority of people think it's TUNES. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that didn't really bother me.
No, me neither. But anyways, apparently it's a pretty cool, I guess, term to give something. The Mandela effect. I am your father. I was trying to think of some other cool ones there, but I can't think of one off the top of my
it's
head.
kind of hard because some of them are just kind of like, I never really thought about it, so of course I'm going to be wrong about it because I don't really think about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mandela effect.
Yeah.
We're going to have the Schisler effect. We're suddenly right in the middle of a story. You just go, I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
Boring.
This is boring.
Fake. This is boring.
Fake.
To me.
It's the Schisler effect.
Yeah. I'm a real charmer on dates.
Just in the middle of a story,
this is just
talking
so
about
boring.
how her old boyfriend gave her Bell's palsy, and you're like, next story's fake.
Yeah. Fake.
Fake news. And she's sitting there like this. No, it's not fake. I don't know what you're talking about. Fake story, move on. It's just TikTok.
That's what you get for being with an 80-year-old.
So I want you to show, possibly, I don't know if you can show this as a video. I don't know if they have a still picture of it, of a story from the New York Post. So this is essentially just trash story, but a crazy, terrifying reminder that snakes can climb trees, but also up onto your house. This is
fake.
This is crazy. I don't know if it's fake or not. It looks incredible, but apparently it's like a couple weeks ago, there was footage of this 16-foot snake that was slithering over the top of a family's house in Australia. Everything weird happens in Australia. Right as they were having their midday meal, it says. And the video has amassed over 12 million views on TikTok. But this video shows this snake, and I have to admit, it looks incredible.
All right, I got the video.
I mean, it's kind of coming up out over the house, or up the tree, up over the house. And it's 16. I tell you what, it looks longer than 16 feet. That is massive. Sorry if you're just listening on podcasts and not watching the video.
That's creepy.
That is extremely creepy. I don't know what I would do if I'd have to move, right? Burn the house down. Look at that. The tree is moving. How massive. I mean, that thing has to weigh several 100 pounds. At 16 feet, you would imagine it would. But it's in the tree, also in the house. Yeah, those people are freaking out as they see the video there.
This is why you have guns.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is, my thought is my house, I'm shooting the thing, but you watch, it's some protected animal, and then I end up having to do time because I shot this 16-foot python or whatever.
You have a pretty good shot to hit that head, though.
Yeah, I would imagine. Even at 16 feet, it's still probably pretty hard to hit.
See, what happens with me in scenarios like this is I get shocked. I'm like, whoa, what is that? And then I immediately go, do I have to deal with this? Like, how do you deal with the python in the tree?
Yeah, you think your Saturday's bad.
It's like,
show this video.
It's like, do I sit here and wait for him to go? Or do I go inside and ignore him and maybe he'll go? But then I don't know if he left. And then I probably just throw my dog over there and be like, just take the dog. Don't take me. Take the children.
Neighborhood's cat. That is crazy, man. This was a couple of months ago now. I heard the song on the radio, Kung Fu Fighting.
Okay, is this a Mandela thing?
No.
All right.
No.
It's not Kung Fu Fighting, huh?
Everybody thinks it is, though.
Yeah, because everybody was. Kung Fu Fighting.
Oh, thank you. Dude, that was great. That was so fast I didn't even catch it. But you're familiar with the song Kung Fu Fighting, right? It has kind of an interesting story. It's a terrible song, and if no one knows, or not no one, but if you're not familiar with what Kung Fu Fighting is, look it up. It's kind of a funny, lighthearted song about, I guess, Kung Fu Fighting. But apparently this was a B-side song.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're old enough to know what a B-side is. Back in the day when we had records, the singles would be released on the A side, and the B side was usually a song that was
a filler.
Yeah, it was a filler, right? And oftentimes some of your lower end bands may have only had one hit, and they didn't even have anything to put on the B side. It was kind of the case here with Kung Fu Fighting. Apparently, this song was written in about 10 minutes, as they were looking to put something on the B side of, and I just scrolled now, I don't know what the name, I Want to Give You Everything, written by Brooklyn songwriter Larry Weiss and Carl Douglas. Obviously, the B-side song, Kung Fu Fighting, is significantly more popular because, well, we know what it is, and I don't know that you know what I Want to Give You Everything is. But it got me thinking about other B-side songs that actually became more popular than
I'm looking
their
this
A-side.
up.
Yes.
The album, when they released the actual album,
Yes.
the album's called Kung Fu Fighting and Other Great Love Songs. So, I mean,
I don't know that I would consider it a love song,
I love it.
but I guess it depends on what your kink is.
Well, no, that's why they separated it.
Oh, and
other great love songs.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, didn't I say I Want to Give You Everything was the A side? That does sound like it was an attempt to be romantic, and then you flip it over and it's Everybody Was Kung Fu Fighting.
I think like the B side stuff though isn't really like a phenomenon anymore because everyone just kind of releases singles, so you don't really know they're getting pop. Like I know for me, for example, if like you played a Taylor Swift song, I would have no idea when it came out. Like, no idea.
Well, I can tell you if it's country, it's probably about 10 to 15 years old.
Oh, well, see, I had no idea.
Yeah, she started off as a country artist.
But, like, I guess other famous B songs, I don't really know because...
Well, I have a list here for you.
Isn't that usually something just with one-hit wonders, though?
You would think. However, the Beatles' Revolution was a B-side song.
Yeah, but was it a B-side to a single or was it to their album?
No, well, B-side's going to be a single, so we're talking one song on each side.
Because there is a B-side to albums.
Yeah, there is, yes. Well, typically it's side one, side two. When it's a full EP,
yeah,
it's a side one, side two. When it's a single, it's A and B.
Okay.
I don't know why. And if I'm wrong, onesies, I'm sure they will let me know. But of course, in typical Beatles fashion, the A side was Hey Jude, which was also pretty darn huge. But can you imagine having a B side and it's a Revolution? So You Can't Always Get What You Want is also a B-side. It's pretty amazing. I think it was the flip to Honky Tonk a Woman, which, again, good song, but I don't think it was nearly as big as You Can't Always Get What You Want. And there's a couple of other ones on here. Good Riddance, Time of Your Life. Now, again, this is starting to get a little more modern where, records weren't necessarily a thing, but apparently that was a B-side album or B-side song for them. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. Music sucks.
That was a bold statement,
Yeah,
in general, huh?
I'm just kidding.
Except for our intro music, that song rocks.
Yeah, that song rocks. Speaking of which,
yes.
Is it time to go?
Yeah, I think it kind of is. We can finish up with one little... No, we probably don't even need to. We have enough time to do
Yeah, we can do whatever we want.
Well, I know we can do whatever we want, technically, but I always like to finish up with something a little interesting. Were you aware that we grow new taste buds every week? That's right.
Where do the old ones go?
That's a good question, Dick.
In our throat?
This is a good thing. It says, first, if you stick out your tongue, you will see a bunch of little bumps. Those are not taste buds. Those parts are called papillae. I don't know if I'm calling that or if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Those are not your taste buds, but basically those are kind of the bunches of cells, which are like gateways to the taste centers to the brain. But we grow new taste buds every single week, which is interesting because I've always been told, like, if you eat a lot of spicy foods and stuff, it'll burn your taste buds or whatever. And I'm thinking, well, you're just going to grow new ones next week. So what does it matter, Mom? Not you, Mom. My mom. Your mom.
Like really confused there.
I don't think my mom's ever told me that, actually. It says we grow new taste buds for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that the taste cells die off after they finish their job. The taste cells, like many cells, can age. And when they lose their sensitivity, the body grows new ones. So once they become Robert De Niro, they go the way of the taste bud. And it says the second reason we grow taste buds is sometimes we burn them off with things like hot foods and beverages. The heat can kill our taste buds. It says if we don't grow new ones, we would have problems detecting the tastes of food and probably wouldn't enjoy every meal as much. There you go.
So what did COVID do? When people were saying I can't taste anything?
Yeah, that was kind of an odd phenomenon. Did you ever have any side effects? So I think I kind of did too.
I don't think it's gone. I think I don't taste anything right anymore.
So the one phenomenon for me is this one coffee doesn't quite taste the same as it did before COVID. And I don't know that I never tested positive, but I'm certainly sure I had it. Same with my wife. She's like, this coffee doesn't taste right anymore. So we switched to a different brand or same brand, different flavor. So nothing tastes right for you anymore, huh?
I don't know. I was making that up.
Oh, come on, man. I'm gullible. I thought I was like, tell me all about your problems and your tasting problems.
Well, no, I do remember not being able to taste something, but then again,
But that happens with every cold. I know that when you catch a cold, your sense of taste is off. Sometimes everything tastes bland.
You can't inhale anything.
Inhale?
Yeah, like you smell with your nose, and that helps your taste buds know what you're tasting.
They work in concert together.
So, yeah.
They got an agreement.
I'm a beautiful symphony.
God, we've got to end on that. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to yet another exciting episode of The Audience of One Show.
Yeah.
Wednesdays, 10 a.m. with the 10, Dick Schisler.
And Andrew. And don't forget Andrew. He's my caboose.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm a boat anchor, let's be honest.
Don't forget to send us your stuff, audienceofoneshow@gmail.com, or reach out to us on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And tune into Lone Star Community Radio. Download the app. Donate to Audience of One. There's a link below on our description of each episode. It's easy to donate. We need that donation to keep the station going. We are a nonprofit, and I have to look at Andrew's face without getting paid.
Terrible.
It's terrible.
And I'm not a 10, trust me.
And he's a 10 in my eyes.
Oh, thank you.
In a platonic sense. He's a 10 as a person.
Radio 10. I'm a Radio 10.
Radio 10. I love it. I'll see you guys later, onesies.
Next week, everybody.